double oval fantasy. Bob Ross rewatch, double oval fantasy. Bob Ross rewatch, double oval fantasy. Bob Ross rewatch, double oval fantasy. Bob Ross rewatch. Coming to you live from inside an old barn nestled by the Ebony Sea, overlooking a soothing vista on a warm summer day. It's the Joy of Bob Ross, a happy little podcast. The podcast that climbs towering peaks and chases golden rays of sunshine to bring you Bob Ross stories of joy. And tonight, we're sharing that joy with you. And with certified Ross instructor Doug Hallgren, Duke of the Bob Ross Discord, Joe Schiro, plus the soothing sounds of Peapod Piper and the podcast house band, and your happy little host, Rod Scalzo.
Oh, wow, man, we've really upped the budget here with that intro. Who wrote that amazing intro? That was amazing. Hello, friends and squirrels. We interrupt your regularly scheduled Bob Ross programming for Bob Ross programming. I always imagine a woman like standing there with a palette, and she's like painting along with whatever was happening prior to this. And then all of a sudden, we're here. But we apologize to the few of you who are painting along with Bob at the moment. Why not take a break, pour yourself a tall glass of iced tea, heat up a hot pocket, and spend the next 45 minutes with us marveling at a classic Joy of Painting episode, along with some colorful characters in the Bob Ross universe. And while we pull the Betamax from the archives, let's dust it off, pop it in our player, and check up on current events in the Bob Ross universe. First, if you got your TV guide in the mail this week, and I know you did, you know that the new season of The Joy of Painting with Nick Hankins has premiered. We talked with Nick about continuing Bob's public television legacy in episode 59 of the podcast, and now you can watch the first 2 episodes, I want to say, streaming for free now at pbs.org. Some folks in Holland, this is a true story, spent a recent weekend celebrating Bob Ross by doing what else? Painting in the middle of a city street led by certified Ross instructor for something called Bob Rossen in de Vanderpek. Do we have anybody, Dutch folks in the chat who can translate that for us? Anyway, it was a Bob Ross painting pop-up in Amsterdam, and how were we not invited to that? I heard it went well. One place we were invited to, and this is a tease, we've talked about it before, we'll tell you again in just a couple of weeks, we're going to be at Comic-Con, rolling out an all-new Bob Ross Fortnite creative game, July 24th to 27th at the San Diego Convention Center. CRI Jeremy Rogers will be there. He's going to be doing some painting. Come find us in the Bob Ross booth, play the game, and it is our intent for our next episode to bring it to you live right here in this space and take you deep inside the nerd hole. And incidentally, that's why we're doing our rewatch early this month, to give me extra time to pack my microphones and iron my wig. 60 happy little episodes of The Joy of Bob Ross. They can be heard and sometimes seen on the Bob Ross channel on Twitch, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. The tape is in the VCR, the iced tea's poured, the squirrels are all tucked in their sock drawers, and we're about to jump into our public television time machine. But we can't do that without this month's co-pilots. Our first one's been featured multiple times on this podcast. We found out his story in episode 10. We've watched him paint at TwitchCon. We've watched him paint on a boat. He's certified Ross instructor royalty as far as we're concerned. He lives in the desert, but he travels all over the world to paint. Let's welcome back Doug Hallgren. Hello, Doug.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
Good to see you. That's a very familiar backdrop here. I feel like we've seen that room before.
Welcome you to my home.
Watching you work at TwitchCon, watching you work at Comic-Con, the cruise. It was the first time since we've been doing the podcast that we got to see you do your thing. I shared a stage with you and literally watched you do like a demo painting on the first day of Comic-Con. The crew's literally in the middle of the ship while Bob Ross fans sat and watched. And for me, not being a painter, more of a media guy, it really was an opportunity to see you do your thing. And I got to also say that I don't hang in tiny little painting circles, but getting to know a lot of the CRIs through this podcast, it's a constant. Your partner, Eddie, Nick Hankins, Carolyn Soletto, Ted Simpson, Faye Fletcher. It's not just the talent, but the professionalism. And if I may be so basic, the niceness, the genuine niceness that you all possess. Is that, how did you acquire this niceness, Doug? Is it just years of painting along with Bob, or was that something that's just inbred in you prior to this part of your career, so to speak?
I think a lot of that is just teaching. I mean, when you're teaching, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with their emotions, you're dealing with whatever they've got going on that they want to work out through painting. So you learn how to be friendly because you can get a lot further with people that way. It's not manipulative; it's just people skills, and that's really important with teaching. I think for any type of teaching of any subject. But yeah, and it's
Well,
just fun. I mean, we're coloring all day. What bad can happen? Not much.
you're doing Bob a service, you're doing fans a service, you're doing painting fans a service. Obviously, whether you're a fan or a troll, we all wish Bob Ross could be here in person in the present. But you guys are truly the next best thing that we can have while we still get to enjoy classic Bob on platforms like this. What does that mean to you to be able to kind of carry on the legacy in that way?
Well, it's pretty special, and I don't use that word a lot. I was fortunate enough to teach in Bob's workshop for 12 years down in Florida. I lived every day underneath his paintings above my head. There were 50 original Bob Ross paintings there. His easel was there. I could feel his presence. And so I like to share that with people. I like to share my enthusiasm about painting with people still to this day. And I'm 20 years in on this. It turns my light on. I get excited about painting still. I don't know why. It seems kind of crazy, but I love still watching Bob. I have Bob's books. I'm wearing Bob's T-shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it's all fun. It's a great time every time I get to teach or be with other people that paint. We have a shared language. We enjoy being in each other's company. Of course, there's some friendly competition from time to time. That's always great.
When we started this podcast about 3 years ago, I pitched it as, hey, I'm not a painter, right? I want to talk about Bob from a whimsical point of view, from a spiritual point of view, how Bob really attracts the everyday person, not just the technical aspect of it. But you've just started pretty recently, along with Nick Hankins and Carolyn Soletto, this really technical minded aspect of the joy of painting and what Bob did called brushstrokes. What's that like been like for you collaborating with those two?
Oh, incredible. So we did a lot of filming in a very short period of time. And what these are is this is a continuation of an actual paper small magazine or pamphlet that we used to have called Brushstrokes, which was written by Annette Kowalski and other painters, and Bob contributed. And it was about our Bob Ross world and our painting activities and talking to certified instructors, talking to just the general public out there painting. But now we're continuing it on in a digital format on YouTube. And we really go into some deep dives with different things having to do with painting that maybe Bob didn't have time in the 30 minutes to explain to you and to really show you in depth how we do this. There's a lot of imitators out there, and we're trying to bring it back to this is exactly what Bob did. Yes, it's your world, you can paint it as you see it, but Bob's giving you a technique that'll help you be successful with that instead of just struggling with it or making it up. We're giving you that, and we're giving you that. It's so cool. We've got a whole year's worth of content coming up. It's great. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Awesome. Now, you and I met our next guest at TwitchCon. He's a big fan of the podcast, the pop culture, of bad movies. Now he's inside the Bob Ross machine with us, running the Discord channel and Bob Ross TikTok. Let's put him in his happy little box and say hello to Joe Schiro. Hello, Joe.
Oh, hi. Happy to be here. Happy Wednesday.
Were you I saw you laugh when I said, you're a fan of bad movies, but that's an inside
Well,
joke between you and I.
yeah, listen, we could just stop it right there. But yeah, I am definitely
Now
more
we
a fan of
talked
a more
about
weirder
that
movie.
amongst other things, recently. This episode has not come out yet, but Bob Ross Discord is a thing. We got a fresh episode forthcoming where you literally take me through the matrix and explain to all our listeners over 30 what Discord is. I'm a ham radio man myself, but obviously on Twitch and in online communities, Discord is a big thing. Tell all our listeners and our viewers, why they want to jump aboard Bob Ross Discord.
Yeah, so the official Bob Ross Discord is a wonderful community of both happy painters and just Bob Ross enthusiasts in general. We have so much to offer in the form of painting help, painting feedback, as well as even a place to share your pets. And that's just kind of wonderful. It's free to join, and anyone can join, and it's just a fun place.
Any pets or Bob Ross related pets? Do they have to be owls or
Any pets.
raccoons?
It could be any pet. Recently, someone posted, I think, a snake. I think one person once posted a spider. I thought it was really cool. So we
Hey,
welcome
pet spiders on
all
Twitch.
critters and creatures.
Now, I'm curious about this. I don't know if we talked about this in our interview, but what do you do on Discord and Twitch? Like, what are you fanboying on these platforms when you're not fanboying or dealing with Bob Ross fangirls and fanboys?
Yeah, typically I use it to connect with some friends that live down south. So I'm located in Connecticut, and Discord's basically just a really nice way that me and my buddies from Florida get to kind of get together. We do it every Tuesday. We'll play some Halo Reach. So it's really fun.
Now I'm gonna lean on you for some chat language, for some Twitch language. You're the expert here. I'm old school. We met you in San Diego, as I said. We bonded a little bit. You filmed me talking to a giant weed, which I'm sure was very memorable for you. Um,
Yeah, of course.
but the Grass Lord, remember him? But
Yes.
is he still around? Is he in the chat? But
Jeez, I
even
hope.
though you're not a star yet, we handpicked you to be part of this rewatch with Doug, and I'll quote Doug here because quote, you bring some energy. Where does that come from, Joe?
Oh, I guess just a regular spiritual force. Just my attitude. It's how I like to greet the day. I've been described as SpongeBob. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I'm ready, I guess.
You don't resemble him. Doug, why don't you chime in here? Where's the where's the energy source of Joe Schiro in your eyes?
I have no idea, but it's relentless. I working with him on the brushstrokes, and we did the filming and all that. It was just constant all day long. It was exhausting, but it was just he's just I don't know. He just makes me smile, makes everybody around him smile. Just quick with the joke, quick with the funny thing. I don't know. It's just him being Joe. It's just Joe.
Well, I
Well,
try.
sometimes we pair people up in these monthly rewatches who have never met each other before. Sometimes there are reunions of sorts, and we're glad to have both of you aboard for this monthly rewatch. On August 14th, 1988, Bob Ross went nuts. And in a single episode, he painted two beautiful mountain evergreen oval scenes in one memorable masterpiece. This Joy Painting episode is called Double Oval Fantasy. Doug, it's a favorite of yours. Tell us why we're going to watch this one.
Well, so I had decided to go to the first Bob Ross reunion. This is way back when I was getting trained. And it was one of the paintings that I took for a charity auction that they do at those, or used to do at those reunions. And it just happened to be that particular painting. And it was one of 12 that I brought that I submitted. I thought they would only pick one. They picked all 12s, which I was horrified. And this is one that actually sold in that. So I've always really liked it. I've liked the fact that it's a double oval, which is odd and very strange for Bob, kind of different. And we'll talk a little bit about those ovals. And the colors, kind of crazy. There's blue bushes in there. I mean, Bob doesn't go blue on it very often, and he did on this one. But it's a neat painting. I guess it just, I don't know. It's weird. It's not something I would hang myself in my own home, but I love it. I love every bit of it.
Our technical producer, Jedi Master James Shapiro, he's hiding in between the ovals, ready to hit play and pause on the VCR if and when we ask him to. So let's fulfill this fantasy. The Joy of Painting, Series 16, Episode 5. It's the Bob Ross Rewatch with Doug and Joe. Let's roll it. You're gonna do the head bob. Look at that animation. That's like Garfield level animation in 1988.
Hi, welcome back. I'm certainly glad you could join me today because today is a very, very special day to me, and I'm glad that you're here to share it with me. This marks the 200th Joy of Painting show today, and it does nice things to my heart to think that we have made this many shows and that you've kept us on the air this long. And I tell you what, since this is such a special show, I'd like to dedicate it to a very special lady, Annette Kowalski. Annette has been with me since we started The Joy of Painting. She's worked in every show, and her and I traveled for a lot of years teaching and making all of this possible. So Annette, I hope you enjoy this one. Tell you what, let's start out and have them run all the
Doug,
colors
did you know
across
that
the
this was a
screen
very special
that you need
episode?
to paint along
I
with me.
didn't. I
While
did
they're doing
not.
Number
that,
200.
let me show you what I've
Yeah.
already done. I thought we'd do a special painting today. So I've taken a piece of contact paper and I've cut 2 ovals out of it today. Son of a gun, looks like 2 big eyes there. Maybe it's that little owl we had on one of the earlier shows. Then I've covered this with liquid white on both sides. So it's all slick, it's ready
Bob's
to go.
inviting us to take a Rorschach
Let's get
test.
started.
I
Tell
see
you what, let's
a
take
pair of
little
healthy
toothbrush.
lungs.
We'll go right into a small amount.
I see a Warner Brothers cartoon character,
Indian
like
yellow.
Daffy Duck, as a battering
Let's
ram
put a
eyes
little
first.
bristles.
Big.
Let's go right up here. Maybe right along in here. We'll just put a little of that yellow. Just a tiny bit.
I
Right
always
I
get
don't wanna-
scared when Bob starts out with yellow because I know there's blue coming and that makes green and everybody panics. But we'll see. Bob will pull it out. I always have faith
I'm
in
gonna add
him.
a least little touch of
Look,
the
I want
yellow.
to see Bob apply the contact paper. Is that like a big deal, or is it easy peasy to get that
It
double over
depends.
on that?
Some of the papers stick, some don't. All the brands are different. You just have to experiment with it.
Just back and forth.
Bob used to say he would go to a frame shop and get somebody to make an oval
Okay, now I'm gonna
mat
wash my
cutout that
brush.
they use
And
for a
as you know,
template for
we
those.
wash our brushes with
Um,
odorless thinner.
Yeah,
Shake off
they're
the
tricky, they're fun, and they're very, very Bob. It's just something you have to
Everybody's in
learn to
studio.
use. It takes time.
And that's what makes it fun. Just enjoy. Now, when you're doing this at
Gosh,
home,
here
I
comes the
strongly
blue.
suggest you get a
Look
brush
out.
beater rack or something and put it in the bottom of a waste paper basket because you'll change the decor of your living room in a heartbeat. Little phthalo blue. Let's go
I'm
right
scared.
up here. Just bring this blue right down almost to that yellow. Right
was
You
Maybe
can almost
Easter
see it
eggs.
going green right there. Oh my gosh.
Same thing. And let's have a little water
I'm
in this.
holding my
Shoot,
breath.
I like water. We'll take a little phthalo blue, get a little phthalo green. Just mix them on the brush. What the heck? All right, let's go up here. Maybe our water's going to live right along in here somewhere. Just wherever you want it.
But
Make a
notice he's
decision.
got 2
Drop it.
paintings going on there, and he's going to hook them up in this
You can do
episode.
anything that you want. Anything that you want.
I'm excited to
There.
find out how,
Very
because
lightly go across.
that there's space in between the two
We'll
of
do the
them.
phthalo green, phthalo blue mixture, and we'll do the other side. This is like painting 2 scenes at once. Only we're going to let the scene just continue right through. There we are.
I've got to say, I know a lot about Bob, but I don't know why he started with the ovals. I don't know why the man decided he would do these things. I mean, it was a style then, but back in the day, but
Shake it off.
it's
Showboating, I would
definitely-
imagine.
Just beat the devil out of it. Now then, I want to blend this together. Nice, clean, dry brush. Just blend it together right there where they,
Ooh,
where
it's
they
it's
touch.
going a little green there.
There. We'll go over to the other
I'm
side.
worried about that green.
Same thing.
I'm always worried about it. Well, I'm a teacher, and when it goes green, it can go really green. And now you've got this
Maybe
haunting,
like to have a
crazy
little-
sky.
little stringy cloud. Now just take a little touch of the
Can't
midnight
unsee
black.
the Easter
Very
eggs,
small amount.
especially at this point in the
On
painting.
the brush. Okay. Maybe there's a little happy cloud, and he just sort of floats right across here like this. Maybe he comes right over into this side. See, let him extend all the way through.
There are 2 clouds, just boom, just like that.
Painting
Now there's 3.
then very lightly.
There's 4.
Just blend. Just blend them. That's all there is to it.
Bob's so calm and collected and talking slowly, but watch his hands. His man is going 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
Even cleaning brushes.
Let's have some fun with some clouds today. We'll grab an old fan brush here. Maybe for clouds, we'll take some alizarin crimson, a little touch of the phthalo blue in it, maybe even a little black.
I like when the color just appears.
Be right back.
It happens.
There we go.
It happens soonish.
Lavender color. I want that
And he
lavender
never
color
overmixes
because
anything.
when
It's
it
just
touches
what
the
you get
yellow,
is what you get.
it won't turn
And
black.
purple's the hardest color to
It'll turn
match.
more of a brownish
It's either
color.
too red or too blue, and it's always
Your
different.
fan brush here.
I still struggle with it.
Both sides, a lot of color. Just really rake it through there.
He's making
And
clouds
you
with
have
this
to make a
color.
decision now. Where does the clouds live in your world?
Bob, what are you doing?
I think there's a happy little
So
cloud.
these are called shadow clouds, and he's got a reason he's putting in the dark. You got to have a dark in order to show the light. You'll
Just sort of
see.
scrub it in.
I've heard that before.
There, maybe he's got a little friend lives right there. There we go. And maybe these clouds, they come right on through.
So
Well, there they
fast,
are.
though. Look at that.
Just wherever you want them.
He's got more to do with it, but just boom, he's
They're
done.
free. They just float around and have a good time all day. So that's the way to paint them. That's the way to paint
So
them.
the thing.
Good, clean, dry brush. And all I'm doing here is blending a little to just remove excess paint.
Just for
There we
kicks,
go.
have you ever painted along with
Some happy
with
little
Bob in real
clouds,
time,
just
trying
little
to
highlights.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
pacing
It
down?
is
This excess
hard. I had to do it outside at the Bob Ross Experience in Muncie one time, and the wind was blowing, and my paper towels are blowing all over, and my brushes are rolling off the back of the easel, and it was a lot. Kind of like painting on the ship. Everything was moving on the ship. That was,
Good times.
Right back here. Grab a little
I even fell off the stage at one point. So.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but yes, you did.
Oh, yeah.
A little,
And I let out
pratfall.
some foul language too when I did it.
It was after your
It was
painting
done.
demo, so yeah, only a few of us saw it. Oh, there he
So see-
goes, Bob.
Yeah. So he's putting the light on the top, and that light wouldn't be as dramatic without the dark underneath it. So that's the whole, you got to have the dark in order to show the light, and vice versa.
Top of the cloud.
It's one of many "now I get it" moments when you watch Bob.
And look at the layers in there and how quickly he's doing them.
There we go.
And the less you fuss with clouds, the better they are. You just twirl them in there, and that's it. You're done.
These are the good
It's the
clouds.
hardest thing in the world to stop painting, and
Color in there first.
you don't need to.
Just like baking a cake. Got to put all the ingredients in the pan before you can do it. And we're doing the same thing here. Same exact thing.
If you notice too, he's also put those dark clouds right at the transition between blue and yellow in case it does go green, you've got camouflage there because that neutralizes the
A
green.
good clean dry brush. Use just the top corner of the brush and blend the bottom of the highlight.
Hel Capo in the chat says his level of mastery is always astounding,
Just widen it up
except
a little.
perhaps for the
Another
sheds.
cloud. Go right over here.
Hey, the sheds are supposed to be kind of dilapidated, right?
But you know,
How do you-
he's
how do you-
doing
we're going
so
to do an episode about that.
fast. Nobody does a better cabin than Bob. Well, maybe Nick, but
I beat the brush.
They said sheds.
The excess paint.
the man's only got so much time.
Easier than cleaning the
Look at
entire
that.
brush. Look at there. That
He's
easy.
8
We
minutes
have
in, and he's got 2 complete skies.
clouds just
He's
floating.
doing 2 paintings at the same time, people. You got to watch this.
Lift them. Just blend them. Very, very effective and nice way to make some happy little clouds. Okay. Tell you what, maybe let's have a little mountain back here.
Yeah,
For
there we
that,
go.
I'll use some
Mountains.
black, some Prussian blue, some Van Dyke brown, some crimson. Just mainly some nice dark colors. Very, very dark. Pull your paint out flat, go down with the knife, cut across, get a small roll of paint right on the edge of the knife. Let's go right up here. Now you got to make another decision.
This is the part when I'm
Where's your
painting at
knife?
home. I'm freaking out.
There it is. Lives right there. Maybe
You
there's
and
a
everyone
bump
else.
there. Wherever you want.
Who's not a pro?
Wherever. There. And all we're looking for is a nice edge on the top. We could care less what's happening down in here. We don't care
That
about
knife
that.
always sounds so
Go to the
good.
side and let these mountains continue. Maybe they come right on through. There. Like so. Let's put them right on up in the clouds. Shoot, that's a big mountain over here. It lives up here in the sky and has fun. Okay. Scrape off all the excess paint. Just pull it right off there. Get tough with it.
Doug, especially with a painting like this, and Bob's on the clock in a television studio, 4 or 5 cameras on him. Talk about being performative in a situation like this. Do you think about it like a comedian does stand-up or the Pope does Shakespeare? Like, is it a series of acts? Here's my sky bit, here's my mountain bit, or is it more of like a free form, just rolling with it sort of thing?
So kind of that comes from teaching. You develop what you say as you're teaching because you're explaining step by step as you're doing this. Bob's more entertaining you rather than teaching. So teaching, you have to tell them exactly what you're doing as you're doing it. And
Right.
so there's no script for that. You're simply telling them everything. The hardest thing is switching between your brain, trying to go from right to left to talk and paint at the same time.
Very pretty on there. Look like a little sun zinging right across the mountains. There we are. No pressure. No pressure at all. Just lay the knife, no weight. No pressure. There. And in your world, you figure out how your little mountains are and just drop them in wherever you
And that
want.
little bit of bright red
And
just
whatever
adds like a
shape.
peachy, like a almost peachy flavor.
That warmth, yeah. And that's what he did it. He added warmth.
Leave the mountains out of this, and it's still a beautiful painting. Still nice. Let's go to the other side of this rascal. Another little roll of paint. There we are. But no pressure. I know you get tired of hearing that, but it's so important. That's probably one of the most often asked questions that I receive in the mail is, why am I having trouble making that paint break and bounce like you do? The only problem is normally one of two things. And normally it's too much pressure. Sometimes it's because we use a paint that's too thin. If the paint's not very firm and very dry, you'll become a mud mixer. I'm mixing up a little phthalo blue and white here. We'll make shadow out of that.
Doug, explain that, right? Like the level, the amount of paint that you put on.
Mud is ugly color, and it is created by not using the right texture and thickness of paint on top of another paint, because a thinner paint sticks on top of a thick paint. If they're the same consistency, they squish together, you've got mud. And that's not always the prettiest thing in a painting unless you're specifically making mud. And the Bob Ross paints are specially formulated to keep you from making mud as often. And you will make mud. It doesn't matter who you are. Bob made mud from time to time. But it's learning his technique, the way he did it, getting the consistency right, using the liquid white to thin things down or even paint thinner. And some of the paints come out of the tube softer to stick on top of the heavier dark underlayer.
How dare you imply that Bob made mud?
Oh, sure he did. You look at Bob in his early days, and you look at Bob later on, different person.
Good point. Good point. Najasa1 says painting 2 paintings in 30 minutes. Incredible. Amazing Larry 7272. Yes, we know this. He painted 3 paintings per episode, 1 to practice, 1 for the show, and then 1 after to donate to a PBS station. Or it went in the book, right?
Right.
So lift upward now. This takes out the little tap marks, brings everything
Yeah,
together.
the book paintings were painted later in black and white, which was crazy. But now Nick's doing his book with the color illustration.
It's in full color.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
they're beautiful books. Beautiful.
Like somebody took a big razor blade and zipped it off, and away it went. And it's much nicer if you can sort of.
That's one of those noises that you make, or else it doesn't work.
Maybe we can bring a little projection out here, just by putting a little of that shadow color on the brush. You can create a whole nother plane in the mountain. Whatever. Just let your imagination go. Here, we just want to show you
I
how
love the
to do
1-inch brunch. ASMR is my favorite. Listen to that.
completely and totally up to you. There, maybe over here. We'll just have a little thing comes out here too. Wherever you want them.
Look at how
However
effective
many
that
you
is.
want.
So it's so quick.
Tell you what, we'll just use the same old brush. I got a little of that lavender color left.
Here we go, more purple.
Mixture of alizarin, crimson, and phthalo blue, and a little touch of white in it. Okay, let's go right up here. Maybe, let's go right in here. Maybe there's a little footy hill foothill lives right there. Just take the corner of the brush, or you can use a 1-inch brush or fan brush, whatever. There we go. See there? Just put in just a happy little background thing. There, far away. Okay,
So
maybe it
fast.
just continues, sort of see where it's at, continue it. There it is. There it is.
Now, if you
knew it
didn't
was
like
there.
this while you were doing it, Doug, you didn't like the way it looked. How do you fix this now?
It depends on which part, but everything's fixable to a point.
A nice
My foot,
I
like
mean,
on
with
my footy
humans-
hills, I'm not happy with my footy hills, Doug. What do I do?
North Carolina.
Well,
yeah.
you would have to decide that maybe that was just going to be reflections pulled down in and maybe put some trees on top of that. Notice Bob's not going back. He never goes back. Never goes back. Always forward in the painting. You'll never see him go back.
I want to tap the base of this, and I'm tapping it very firmly. I want to create that illusion of mist. Let's go over here. And we'll tap this one. There. Just really get in there and tap on it. And then we'll lift slightly upward. Just like so.
Moving so fast.
Now back to our same old brush. And sometimes it's fun to put several layers of these in. And it helps increase that illusion of distance in your painting. And you know me, I like paintings that have a lot of distance and depth in them.
So in the brushstrokes episodes, you'll be able to see us loading that brush specifically and how much paint we're in it. There, Bob did it so quick you have no idea. But when you watch brushstrokes, you see Carolyn and Nick and I really explain it to you, show exactly how much paint is on there and how to use it.
Instant reflections. Maybe this goes right here. Maybe it comes over here.
Thanks for joining us in the chat. Future Rush, Tactic 16 Hood.
Watch here, watch here.
I never seen in my life a better artist. Never in my life.
Now back to my other brush.
I was saying that as a lurker and not a painter, like this is the usual. First, I saw Easter eggs at about the 5-minute mark.
Vital.
And now I'd say we're a little over halfway, and I'm already
If you don't have that
sold. All right, whatever he's doing now, like
right together.
it's only going to get better from here, and I'm starting to get itchy for him to peel the contact paper off.
Do you see
my
that little
favorite part.
area in between the foothills where the dark is against the light there? That's a painter trick. That draws the eye into the center of the painting. Bob is a master at doing that and does it every single time. It's those little things we call peekaboos. You can see it right there. It's kind of in there.
Let's go up here.
Yeah.
Dark sienna. A little white.
Who came up with peekaboos?
I have no idea. I just heard it in class one day and it stuck. I don't even think that was a Bob term.
Tiny, tiny roll of paint. Now then, just going to go back in here and just sort of scrub in indication of a little land and that. I don't want a lot of detail back here. It's too far away.
I made the mistake of using the word indication that Bob says all the time. It's an indication. And I had this woman just yell at me because she goes, well, what's an indication? And then I had to explain indication.
Maybe there's a little
It's dirt. It's dirt. Paint the dirt.
things that look so fantastic. I wanna add something right here.
Joe, have you painted
Watch
like
here.
Bob Ross?
One of the
Yes, I've attended a few classes. I try to do it in my free time as well.
So you can change your mind.
It's very fun.
I haven't
I
decided.
wouldn't say stress-free, but it's a different kind of stress. Creative stress instead of life stress.
That illusion.
Happy stress.
Yes.
There we are. Now then, let me find a fan brush. Let's go right into, we'll get a little black. Go right into some cad yellow.
Punk is tired, not
yellow
dead in the
ochre.
chat. One of my first gifts my grandfather gave me was a Bob Ross art set.
Let's go up here. Let's begin putting some color back here.
Doug, that's a typical story. No, people get the kit from somebody and then they get hooked.
Interesting.
I bought the kit and got hooked. I had only seen Bob once on TV in black and white in the early 80s. And I saw the book and I bought the kit and painted on a weekend and I was forever.
Make all those little grassy areas that are way back here. Maybe this one comes right out there.
I don't know if it's LOD 3D or IOD 3D. Says, thanks for working to preserve and advance what Bob embodied.
Take a little bit of the
I watched Bob growing up and it was awesome. See, those are the chat messages I want to be reading. That's some crank,
Water line back here.
some kook. Bob will be back. He's here. He's right there.
By adding that in there, it creates another plane, and it's more distance in your painting.
And you can watch these episodes anytime you want for free. So you can rewatch this episode without us talking over the top of it anytime you want.
This is the 200th Joy of Painting
It's pretty
show, and
helpful when you're painting alone.
I'm just
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Just
proud
have
as a
the
new pop.
video up.
And Annette and I traveled for many years all across the country, and we taught literally thousands of people the joy of painting, and we made just hundreds and hundreds of beautiful friends. And I hope they're watching and they share in this, because they made it possible. So many of you have made it possible. Let's go back into our dark color. Old fan brush. Maybe way
Doug,
back
does
here.
that mean anything to you? Like, how has painting enriched your social life?
Well, you meet a lot of people, of course, when you teach, and you have a shared language right away, or you're teaching them that language for the first time. And there are people that you end up running into for the rest of your life because you start running in the painting circles in the Bob Ross world, and you know these people. They know you. There's a familiarity, and you share the same likes and dislikes. So it's instant, which is hard to do anymore. It's hard to get a group of people together that are all kind of grooving on the same thing. You know what I mean? We're all here for Bob. We're all here to do what Bob did. And so we like each other from the get-go. You know, it's kind of cool.
Boy, there goes my mountain that I like so well.
Bob making his first tree at the 21-minute mark. What a tease.
So if anybody asks you can tell them there's a fantastic mountain. lives
Joe, we
right
have a
behind this
request
tree.
for your paintings. Where are your Bob Ross paintings hidden?
Right there.
Yes, they're
Oh, he's
actually right
got
here.
it.
Yeah. So here's one. This is in November. I have them all dated on the back. I like to keep track of that stuff.
Very nice. There you
This
go.
one was in
Very cool.
November.
Instant request.
And then
Another one.
this one was in January.
It was little, it got stepped on.
This
Ooh,
was
I like
fun,
that.
and I learned from CRI Lauren Pantos over in Brooklyn, New York.
Put some
It's a lot of fun.
little land masses
Makes for a fun Sunday.
we can bring some
We've met Lauren Pantos on the podcast, the wonderful CRI from Brooklyn.
Take another large brush, grab it.
Nightingale Nexus. Both of the paintings I have from my now gone great grandma and grandpa are paintings they did watching Bob Ross episodes.
Yeah, we can
Well, hold on to those.
take some black, some cad yellow. Just mix it together on the brush. Go right up here. And let's put some highlights. Right
Oh,
up
I
here
love
on these
this.
little
We've
my
got
tracks.
fetish.
5 minutes left. This is crazy.
Right, he's showboating now. It's
Yeah.
like it's supposed
This
to
is
be
the
over.
crunch.
And look at him go.
He's pretty dark.
But he never stops. He just keeps going. It just
Okay, I'm gonna take a 1-inch brush, dip it into a little bit of the liquid white, then go right through little cad yellow, little sap green, all the different yellows here. Let's go right up here. Out here, we're gonna have a beautiful little bush that lives out here. Little yellow ochre.
Pop of color.
There we are. Okay, just drop that right in. You can reflect a little of that down in here if you want to. Give it the most gentle pull. There. Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice
A
indeed.
little bit of Van Dyke brown. Put in a little land. Choop, choop, choop. Take a little white, little dark sienna. That's a nice color. Beautiful color.
notice
Off that
Bob
little-
gives himself strokes through this whole thing. He tells himself it's a good dialogue. That looks very nice. That looks very good. It's all positive reinforcement to himself as he's painting.
Clean knife.
Probably panicking inside because he does only have stuff
He's as cool as a cucumber. Look at him.
as a cucumber.
Really coming in nice.
Amazing Larry in the chat. Bob Ross brought me and my dad closer together. We didn't have much in common when I was growing up, but every day at 5 p.m. we would always watch Bob Ross together. Oh, wait a minute.
This
Here we
is a
go.
moment of truth.
The big
It's
reveal.
happening.
Ooh, look at that. Now we have two great
It's
big
gorgeous.
idols.
Oval Fantasy.
Now, watch what we can do. Watch what we can do.
Wait, it's not over?
He's not
Go back
done.
to the fan brush,
He's
that
never
dark
done.
color. In the middle here, in our world that is going to live, boy, there sure is right now.
Things are about to get crazy.
Beautiful big tree right here.
In Twitch, they
Bob
say
going
this is
outside
a
the
ruin
old
I love
moment.
this idea. This idea was sent to me by a fantastic man. He's one of our teachers. He travels
Doug
all
Hallgren.
over the country and teaches people this method of painting. He lives in British Columbia. Super friend, and his name is Nat Hozier. And Nat comes up with all kinds of ideas. Boy, he makes some of the wildest
Shout out to Nat
things with his
Hozier.
contact paper you've ever seen.
We know who that is?
I have no idea who that is.
Maybe there's another tree.
The
lives
man
there.
responsible for
Let's
this
just
idea.
see. There's one there. Maybe we'll have another one there. You don't get crazy?
This is the
Okay.
part that's crazy.
There he is. Just put them trunks up here, then we can come back.
We only got a few
In here
minutes
you
left
could
and keeps
care less
adding
what's
more
happening.
trees.
We'll separate that with highlights.
I believe I've seen enough of these to believe that Bob's going to come through in the end. But right now,
Oh,
I'm
sure.
like, what's happening? guys?
He always did every
It is
time.
down to the wire.
There we go, right there. Use just the corner of the brush. As you work down the tree, apply more and more pressure. More and more pressure.
Bob always
Yeah,
used to
just
say
pick it up.
he was able to do these paintings because of 30 minutes and 30 years, 30 years of painting experience.
Boy, he's really hanging out here. Big old tree. There he is. Tell you what. I like these old crookedy trees. There's another one.
And more.
He keeps going.
There. Wherever
And
you
you get a
want.
tree. And you get a tree. And you get a tree.
There we go.
Lebowski in the chat. Bob
too
going
slow.
crazy. The best Bob.
Pull it through that dark
The
color
best
one
Bob
direction.
indeed.
Load a lot of
Look
paint
at that.
on bristles.
That's
important.
bananas.
Load a lot of paint. And we can just give it a push.
But you know, this is a
Decide where
trick
we wanna-
again. By putting something darker, taller, more detail in the foreground pushes everything back. So it's a visual way of creating depth on a flat surface. These are all sound techniques that
Go back to some
he's not really blabbing about like me. He's just doing it, but it makes the painting more effective. So
And he's telling stories about Nat Kojay at the same time.
Casually.
He's got a few balls in the air.
however many. Okay. Now we can take a little touch of the liquid white, go into some of our colors, and let's begin putting in a beautiful little bush or two here and there. There
look
he
at the
is.
brightness there. And that's because you got the right consistency of the paint by using the liquid white mixed with the cad yellow
See there? Just
and not
where it's
swishing too hard. The rule here is more paint, less pressure.
Tell you what. Maybe there's a little land out here. We'll just take a little brown. Come around. And while I'm finishing this up, the old clock on the wall tells me that it's about time to go for the day.
Ooh,
I hope you've
squeaking it
enjoyed this.
in.
It's a super little painting. It'll teach you a great deal. And I want to thank you once again for sharing today with me, because this was a very special day. And from all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting and God bless.
Very special day. Oh, we got more animation at the end.
You know, Bob mentioned that was the 200th show, and he did 403 episodes. But that's right in the middle of his TV career there. He's right at full speed, full stream, right in the groove on everything, and he just got better from there on. It's amazing.
Towering Peaks, Bob Ross. And the animation back then was 3 seconds long, and that took 35 hours to make. Pretty incredible painting. You did make a good point, Doug, about ovals being kind of the time. As a somewhat younger person, I remember that those sort of paintings hanging in the walls of my family members, not Bob Ross paintings, but ovals. But a double oval? I don't know if I've ever seen a double oval before.
Well, Bob was always pushing outside of what he had done before. He was always trying to find something new to entertain people with, a new look, a new feel to it. He was quite an inventive person. He found ways to make his own frames. He did this thing where he would fill PVC pipe with black paint and then dip lathing strips down in them, pull them out, let them dry, and then he would nail those together with barnwood to make these rustic frames. He was always inventing, coming up with strange things to do with painting. I even saw him use it was a hair dye gun almost looked like a glue gun to put branches on trees one time, and then you never saw it again. It was like it was kind of weird, but that was Bob. He just was always pushing it and trying to find a new way to do something faster, more effective, or just different. And I think that's something that Bob really gives people is when you start painting or watching painting or looking at painting, it juices up your imagination and you go forward with that and one imaginative thought leads to another and it just you get on this treadmill of imagination, but you'll never get there unless you try it. Unless you do it the first time, then you're hooked. And it's a good thing to be a good addiction to have, if there is such a thing.
You can follow all things Bob Ross, including our upcoming podcast adventures, on Instagram at @BobRoss_The Joy of Painting and on Facebook at The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross. Thanks to Joe Schiro. You can connect with us at TikTok and on Discord too. Next month, we're back with an all-new original episode and a fresh Bob Ross rewatch with more special guests and more giveaways. You can find out more about The Joy of Bob Ross, a happy little podcast, at bobross.com/podcast. Check out our catalog of colorful episodes, including a few featuring Doug Hallgren on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you got a Bob Ross story to tell us, write us a letter. Then mail it to podcast@bobross.com, or you can pick up your landline, dial 866-FAN-BRUSH, and leave a message at the happy little beep. I'm Ron Scalzo, reminding you you're only limited by your imagination. Don't forget to fantasize, look at things from different perspectives, celebrate your milestones, take some deep breaths, and create some depth in everything you create, and you too can be an almighty podcast host. Happy streaming and good game, my friends.